In the year 2004, something impossible happened. After centuries of searching, decades of failed expeditions, and millions of dollars spent, a camera suspended 900 meters below the surface of the Pacific Ocean captured a flicker of movement in the darkness. And for the first time in human history, we saw it. A giant squid, alive, in its natural habitat. The animal appeared like a ghost from the void, silver and gold in the camera's lights, its massive body drifting through black water, tentacles longer than a city bus extending into nothingness. It moved toward the bait with calculated precision, its arms reaching, tasting, probing. Then it struck. The tentacles wrapped around the lure in seconds, suckers gripping with enough force to leave marks on metal. The creature struggled for over 4 hours before tearing itself free, leaving behind a severed tentacle still twitching, still functioning, still gripping anything it touched long after being separated from its body. Scientists watching the footage felt something they hadn't felt in years: vindication. After following sperm whales, deploying cameras into the abyss, and analyzing every scrap of evidence they could find, they'd finally done it. They'd proven the giant squid wasn't just a corpse that washed ashore or a myth from sailors' tales. It was real. It was out there, and it was stranger than anyone had imagined. But here's what no one talks about. That single encounter, that brief glimpse into the life of the largest invertebrate on Earth, didn't answer our questions. It multiplied them. Because even now, 2 decades later, after all our technology, all our research, all our desperate attempts to understand this animal, the giant squid remains one of the most mysterious creatures on the planet. We know it exists. We've seen it a handful of times. We've examined hundreds of dead specimens. And yet, we still can't answer the most basic questions about how it lives. Where do they spend most of their time? We don't know. How do they mate? We don't know. How long do they live? We don't know. How many are out there? We don't know. Do they hunt alone or in groups? We don't know. For an animal that can grow longer than a school bus and possesses eyes the size of dinner plates, the giant squid has managed to hide from us in plain sight. And the more we learn, the more we realize how little we actually understand. This is the story of why the giant squid is still a mystery. Not because we haven't tried to find it, but because the ocean is vast, the deep is dark, and some creatures are better at disappearing than we are at discovering. Let's start with the obvious question. If giant squid are so large, why are they so hard to find? The answer begins with where they live. Giant squid inhabit the mesopelagic and bathypelagic zones of the ocean, the regions between 200 and 1,000 meters below the surface. Some evidence suggests they go even deeper. This is the midnight zone, a realm where sunlight never penetrates, where pressure increases to hundreds of atmospheres, and where temperatures hover just above freezing year-round. But depth alone doesn't explain the mystery. Plenty of deep-sea creatures have been studied extensively. We've filmed anglerfish, observed tube worms at hydrothermal vents, even tracked the migrations of sperm whales diving to similar depths. So what makes the giant squid different? The answer is movement. Unlike animals that stay in one place or follow predictable migration routes, giant squid appear to be wanderers. They don't congregate in large numbers. They don't return to the same feeding grounds year after year. They drift through the open ocean, solitary hunters moving through a three-dimensional space so vast it makes the Sahara Desert look like a sandbox. And in that space, finding a single animal, even one the size of a bus, becomes nearly impossible. Think about it this way. The ocean covers 71% of Earth's surface. The deep ocean represents the largest habitat on the planet. It's not a forest where you can set up cameras on trees. It's not a reef where animals return to shelter. It's open water stretching in every direction, with no landmarks, no reference points, and no way to predict where an animal might be on any given day. You're not looking for a needle in a haystack. You're looking for a needle in a haystack the size of a continent in complete darkness, where the needle can swim away faster than you can follow. This is why almost everything we know about giant squid comes from accidents. Dead animals washing ashore, corpses tangled in fishing nets, remains found in the stomachs of sperm whales. For over a century, this was our only window into their world. The animals we studied were always dead, often damaged, sometimes little more than fragments. It wasn't until sperm whales gave us a clue that things began to change. Researchers noticed something. Sperm whales, the giant squid's primary predator, follow specific migration patterns. If you want to find giant squid, the logic went, follow the whales. They're better at this than we are. This strategy led to the first photographs in 2004. Japanese researchers Tsunemi Kubodera and Kyoichi Mori tracked sperm whales to waters off the Ogasawara Islands. They deployed a baited camera line to 900 meters and waited. Hours passed. Then, a giant squid appeared, attacking the bait with such force that it became entangled. The animal fought for over 4 hours before escaping, but not before the cameras captured over 500 images. Images that changed everything. But even with this breakthrough, the mysteries didn't disappear. They evolved. Because seeing a giant squid for a few hours doesn't tell you how it lives. It tells you how it reacts to bait in one specific location at one specific time. Everything else remains hidden. Here's what we still don't know. First, reproduction. We have theories, fragments of evidence, but no direct observations. Giant squid are thought to reach sexual maturity around 3 years of age. Males develop a long, muscular organ, almost a meter in length, that they apparently use to inject packets of sperm called spermatophores directly into the female's tissue. We know this because females have been found with these packets embedded in their arms and mantle. But how the sperm actually reaches the eggs, how the eggs are fertilized, how they're laid, all of this is speculation. No one has ever witnessed giant squid mating. No one has ever found an egg mass. No one has ever observed a female laying eggs or a male courting a female. We don't even know if they engage in any courtship behavior at all, or if mating is simply a chance encounter in the dark. The reproductive mystery extends to the young. Post-larval juveniles have been found floating in surface waters off New Zealand and Japan. They're tiny, transparent, nothing like the massive adults. But what happens between the larval stage and adulthood? How fast do they grow? Where do they spend those years? One study suggests giant squid reach adult size within 3 years. For an animal that can weigh 500 kilograms or more, growing that massive that quickly is extraordinary. But if they grow that fast, they must be eating constantly. Which raises another question. What do they eat? And how much of it? Stomach content analysis of dead specimens reveals deep sea fish, orange roughy, hoki, and other squid species. One specimen found in Spain showed evidence of having been attacked by another giant squid, suggesting cannibalism isn't uncommon. But these are snapshots from dead animals. We don't know their typical diet, how often they feed, or how they hunt. The footage from 2004 and subsequent recordings in 2012 and 2019 provided a crucial clue. Giant squid aren't ambush predators. For years, scientists assumed they were. But the videos showed something different. The squid stalked the lure. It tracked it visually for several minutes before attacking. It moved with intention, with strategy, like a predator analyzing its target before committing to the strike. This changes everything. If giant squid are active hunters, they're burning far more energy than we thought. They need more food, more frequently, but the deep ocean is a desert. Prey is scarce. So how do they sustain themselves? Do they make vertical migrations to shallower waters at night to feed? Do they follow prey populations across vast distances? We don't know. Then there's the question of their eyes. Giant squid possess the largest eyes in the animal kingdom, up to 27 centimeters in diameter, about the size of a soccer ball. These aren't just big for show. They're functional, highly sophisticated organs designed for one purpose: detecting light in an environment where light barely exists. A study published in 2012 offered a hypothesis. These enormous eyes aren't for finding prey or mates. They're for detecting sperm whales. When a sperm whale dives through the deep ocean, its massive body disturbs plankton and other bioluminescent organisms, creating waves of faint blue-green light. Most animals can't see these flashes, but with eyes the size of dinner plates, giant squid can detect these disturbances from over 120 meters away. That's just barely outside the range of a sperm whale's sonar, giving the squid enough warning time to flee. This makes evolutionary sense. Sperm whales are the giant squid's main predator. We know this from the scars covering whale skin, circular marks left by squid suckers. We know this from the giant squid beaks found in whale stomachs, sometimes dozens at a time. The relationship between these two giants is one of the ocean's great evolutionary arms races. But this raises more questions. If giant squid are constantly fleeing from sperm whales, why don't we see them more often? How many giant squid are there? We have no idea. Some scientists estimate thousands. Others think tens of thousands. The truth is, without reliable sighting data, without tracking methods, without any way to census a population that lives in the largest habitat on Earth, we're guessing. Genetic studies added another layer of mystery. For years, researchers debated whether there were multiple species of giant squid. In 2013, a team from the University of Copenhagen sequenced DNA from specimens collected worldwide. The result was shocking. There's only one species. Giant squid from Japan are genetically almost identical to giant squid from New Zealand, from the Atlantic, from everywhere. This shouldn't be possible. How does a single species maintain genetic cohesion across every ocean on Earth without distinct populations diverging over time? The answer suggests something extraordinary. Giant squid must be mixing their genes globally somehow. Either they're traveling vast distances far greater than we imagined, or there's some other mechanism we don't understand. Which brings us to lifespan. How long do giant squid live? The best estimates, based on growth rings in structures called statoliths, suggest 5 to 6 years, maybe longer. But these are educated guesses from dead specimens. Without tracking living individuals, without observing them from birth to death, we're speculating. And then there are the observations that don't fit any pattern. In 2015, a live juvenile giant squid swam into Toyama Bay in Japan. It appeared healthy, active, swimming near the surface in daylight. Divers entered the water to film it up close. The animal allowed them to approach, didn't flee, didn't attack. After being filmed for hours, it was gently guided back to deeper water. This behavior makes no sense. Giant squid aren't supposed to come to the surface unless they're dying. Their blood can't carry oxygen efficiently in warm water. Yet here was a healthy individual, seemingly unbothered by conditions that should have killed it. Similar incidents have occurred in other locations. Giant squid appearing in harbors, near beaches, in waters far shallower than their usual habitat. Are these sick individuals? Or are there behaviors we haven't observed? Reasons they might venture into shallow water that we don't understand? We don't know. The technology that finally allowed us to see living giant squid came from an unexpected place. A scientist named Edith Witter developed a camera system called Medusa. Unlike traditional deep-sea cameras that use bright lights and noisy motors, Medusa is stealthy. It emits red light, invisible to most deep-sea creatures, and it's completely silent. The key innovation was the e-jelly, an artificial lure that mimics the bioluminescent distress signal of a jellyfish being attacked. It worked. In 2012, Medusa captured the first footage of a giant squid in its natural habitat without disturbing it. In 2019, it recorded another in the Gulf of Mexico, the first ever filmed in U.S. waters. The footage was revelatory. The squid didn't just appear and disappear. It stalked the lure for 6 minutes, circling, watching, analyzing. When it finally attacked, the movement was explosive. Tentacles shot out like whips, wrapping around the e-jelly in a fraction of a second. But even with this technology, we've only captured a handful of encounters. Each one provides fragments of information, but raises new questions. Why do some squids approach the lure while others ignore it? Are we seeing typical behavior or something unusual? How representative are these few individuals of the species as a whole? Recent genetic studies have opened new questions. In 2020, researchers sequenced the full genome of the giant squid. They found something unexpected. The squid possesses over 100 genes in the Protocaduran family, genes typically associated with complex brain development in vertebrates. The fact that giant squid have them suggests their brains are far more complex than we imagined. But here's the mystery. Giant squid brains aren't particularly large relative to their body size. So if they have the genetic machinery for complex cognition, how is it being used? Are giant squids more intelligent than we think? Do they exhibit behaviors, problem solving, memory, social interaction that we've never witnessed? Here's what frustrates researchers most. We've sent rovers to Mars. We've photographed black holes. We've sequenced the human genome, but we can't track a 13-meter animal living in the largest habitat on our own planet. The technology doesn't exist. Satellite tags won't work at depth. Radio signals don't penetrate seawater. Acoustic tags might work, but you'd need to catch a living giant squid first, attach the tag without killing it, and then release it. No one has managed this yet. The giant squid reminds us of something important. Earth still holds secrets, not because we haven't looked, but because some places are still beyond our reach. The deep ocean is vast, dark, and hostile to human exploration. For every hour we spend observing it, there are millions of hours of activity we'll never see. For every giant squid we film, there are thousands living and dying in complete darkness, never witnessed, never studied, never known. But the mystery isn't a failure, it's a reminder. We share this planet with creatures whose lives remain almost entirely hidden from us. Creatures that evolved alongside us, that survived the same mass extinctions, that developed intelligence through completely different evolutionary paths. The giant squid isn't just an animal we haven't fully studied yet. It's proof that the ocean, despite our technology, despite our curiosity, still operates on its own terms. The hunt continues. New cameras are being developed, new techniques tested. Scientists are following sperm whales with more sophisticated equipment. They're deploying cameras to greater depths. They're analyzing environmental DNA in seawater to detect squid presence without ever seeing the animals. Each year brings new sightings, new data, new fragments of understanding. But for now, the giant squid remains what it has always been. The largest invertebrate on Earth, a predator of the deep, an animal with eyes that see in darkness and arms that think for themselves. A mystery wrapped in legend, living in a place we can barely reach. Visible only in brief glimpses that raise more questions than they answer. And somewhere, right now, in the cold darkness of the deep ocean, a giant squid is hunting, moving through water that has never seen sunlight, pursuing prey we've never identified, using strategies we've never observed. It doesn't know we're looking for it. It doesn't care that we've spent centuries trying to understand it. It's simply living, as it has for millions of years, in a world we've only just begun to explore. The mystery isn't a problem to solve. It's a reminder of how much we don't know, and how much further we still have to go. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and comment down below, as it helps let others know they should watch this video. Also, consider subscribing and hitting the bell to get notified of our newest videos. See you next time.